Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. All right, so today we have quite a lot of presentations to cover. So let's just please, can you please control the setting? Yeah, I've set the setting, Alam. All right, so today we have, I think, around 14 presentations, but we will start with what we left off from last week, which was Uzma and also Melie. And we will continue with today's presenters. Okay, let me type that here. Okay, so we'll try our best to finish all of this, and because of that, we have to have a little bit of a longer class. But without wasting any time, let's begin with the first presenter. Uzma, are you ready?
Yep. If you could just give me a second.
Permission. Do you need permission?
No, I
Okay.
am good. I am good. Thank you. I just have to figure out if this is going to. I mean. Okay. Not my camera acting up right before I have to do the speech.
Do you need to change the setting or?
Wait, can you see me?
1 second.
Hold
it's
on.
on, but I cannot see you. All right, don't worry. Calm down. Do not get.
No, I think you might be able to see me now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Great.
Right?
Yes.
Are we good?
Yes. So as usual, you have 5 to 7 minutes. So I'll remind you in the meeting chat of your time limit and everything. So let's begin with your presentation. All right. All the best for today's presenters.
Just to make sure you can hear me, right?
Yes, it's clear.
Clear? Good as day?
Yes, it's very clear. Okay, so let's begin.
Okay. How ironic is it that the one person you know the most, yet at the same time know nothing about, is you? This is what I would ask myself throughout the majority of my high school days, where I spent trying to figure out where I fitted in my friend group. Because there was a pretty popular friend, there was a likable, funny friend, and then there was just plain me. In fact, even my friends back then did not know how to describe me despite being with me for 6 years. So to say that I was devastated and lost would be an understatement. This was also around the same time when I struggled the most with my mental health. But here's the catch. I never actually worked on myself to be better. I thought that if I could fight it down, then one day it would just all disappear. Obviously, I was wrong, because by suppressing my own emotions, I started to tend to other people's emotions, and I became a people pleaser. When things started to go a little bit out of hand, I had to ask advice from my mom. And she said, "You're always the therapist to your friends. You always say, 'I got you, I'm here for you, I can listen to you.' But where are you for yourself? Why don't you listen to yourself, and why don't you love yourself?" Good morning, my respected Professor Muhammad Mawa and my dear classmates. Please allow me to ask you this one question, and I want you to answer this question with one word in the chat box, whatever comes to mind. The question is, define self-love. I want you to answer this question in the chat box with whatever word you can think of, whether it is beautiful, whether it is kind, whether it is, okay, Saley said self-affection. That's a lovely answer. Valuing yourself. True. Care. Okay, fantastic. Great answer. So my answer is right here. As you can see, I wrote, or maybe you can't see. Oh yeah, I wrote self-love is equals to you. The reason why I wrote this right here is because I never included myself in the equation. It was always my parents plus my siblings plus my friends and whoever else I put before me. As humans, we tend to fail to understand that self-love, it serves as a strong base to however you deal with whatever comes next. Meaning, it is how you deal with your relationships, how you deal with your struggles, and how you express your good and bad characters. Scientific studies have shown that humans who express self-love, they tend to release hormones such as serotonin and oxytocin. These are hormones that reduce stress levels. And further studies have shown that when someone is more self-compassionate, they tend to be stronger at facing adversities in life. By this, I mean, when you face challenges, you don't just run away. You face them on head-on and bravely. All of these factors now put together, they make up a better you and increase your overall happiness, but also they make you the best version of yourself and inspire others to become the best version of themselves. Because once a flower blooms in a field, the rest will follow. Now, even with all of these great things that I mentioned right above here, people still mistake self-love with ego and pride. Now, my definition of self-love completely excludes ego and pride. The toxic approach to self-love would be to be proud of who you are exactly in this moment, unwilling to change and unwilling to grow. That just makes you egotistical and narrow-minded, two traits that you will not be proud to have. Further studies have shown that when one is not exposed to self-love, they tend to deal with mental illnesses, so depression, anxiety, identity crises, and just to name a few. To solidify this, 75% of girls, they tend to excessive drinking, smoking, and self-destructive behaviors just because they lack self-compassion. Now, to avoid this bad side that I just mentioned, we reach the question of, Uzma, how do you love yourself? Well, John Maxwell, the author of the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, he stated a few steps. One step is to actively put effort into yourself. Things don't happen miraculously around here. It's not beepity boppity boop. You need to take accountability over yourself because no one else will. The second step is to always know yourself in order to grow yourself. Meaning, know your strengths and embrace them, know your weaknesses and work on them, seize opportunities, and finally keep your interests alive. So now with all of this, my dear classmates and my respected sir, if there's one thing I want you to take away from my speech, it would be to just be you. Honestly and sincerely, don't think, like how I used to think. You need a title to feel worthy of yourself. It's not true. Don't try to fit yourself in any standards of society, in any friend group, and be something or someone you're not. You need to listen to yourself, to love yourself, to bloom. Trust me. Thank you.
Okay,
I
all
swear
right.
I'm gonna vomit. Oh my god.
Wait, what's going on?
I'm done. Okay.
Okay, no, no. All right, calm down. You did well. Are you standing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went all over the top, cut my hair, dressed nicely. It's 5 a.m. and I'm wearing makeup. Who else is screaming at this time? My neighbors are probably wondering. Lord.
All right. Okay, first of all, I think you did a very good job, but let's talk a little bit on improvements. Not a lot,
Sure.
but there were a couple.
Yeah.
The first one that I noticed was pauses. I still think a few more
Mm.
because your delivery was more or less like this. You are telling them something and then you give them answers. Most of the time, before you proceed to telling them answers, it sounds like it's one long sentence because you have this one sentence and then your delivery is okay, let me tell you how basically. But when you go to the part where you tell them how, most of these sentences, they are connected to the earlier sentence. So I feel
Mm.
if you have like pauses and if you have a bit more pauses there, it will be a bit more impactful because you let them think, Okay, how do we do this? Okay, let me tell you how. But before you tell them, pause there so that it becomes a bit more effective so that they think and then they have time to realize, oh, that's how. So I feel
Mm,
that's a common thing throughout your speech. You did
mm,
have that a lot, but there were a couple of places that I feel you forgot to have that. And one other thing as well, I
mhm.
think most of your content is very good, very engaging. But I feel there were moments that you lack of energy a little bit. Okay, probably because it's in the morning, especially in the beginning.
Okay.
I realized that you, in the beginning, the first few sentences, the energy was probably a little bit lower, but
Mm.
you did warm up to it. You did
That
build
was
on
me
your
trying to
energy.
contain myself.
Okay, yeah, I noticed like in the beginning, especially, it was not flat, but less energy. But from
Mm-hmm.
there, you did like build up on your energy, and there were places where I feel you went down again on your energy, you went
Mm-hmm.
back up. But
Mm.
I have a feeling probably it's related to the time of the
Time.
day. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe because of that. Okay, but let's move on to the positives. Okay,
Right.
the attention getter, I like it. I feel it's very effective. It's, yeah, it's emotional, and for you, obviously, it's a bit dangerous because we know what
Mm. Mm.
happened in the last speech. But today, think you were still composed. You were not
Mm.
too emotional, but we get the feelings that you are trying to present or try to let us know. So I think it was very good. And I like that simple activity where you ask us to give one word, even though the audience didn't quite give you one word. But I think you still handled it very well. You still take their answers into your delivery. So that was good. And from the beginning itself, I was drawn in to listen to what you have to say because the message is important. Self love, we
Mm.
don't talk about this enough. And this is
Mm-hmm.
important when we give a speech. We want to draw people in from the first 1 to 2 minutes. So I think you did that. But your introduction was a little bit long in a sense that up until that question, it was around 2 minutes. But
Yeah.
I will not put too much into it because it was still effective, I feel. Okay,
Okay.
moving on to your delivery. Enunciation and pronunciation are very good, I feel. You did put a lot of emphasis on how to pronounce each of the word. It was very clear, and your body language was also present. And it was not distracting because some people, when they think of body language, it can be a little bit overboard. But for you, it was not. I feel it was just the right amount of body language, and you were also expressive, especially when you use a couple of a stylized language when you use that BBT, bobbity, bob, all of that. I
Mm.
like
Bibbidi
that.
bobbidi boop.
Yeah, I like that. And then you did have the language as well. Sorry, the body language to match that. So it was very interesting. Moving on to appeals, I feel your logos and ethos are very good, very strong because you did have facts. But I feel if we were to have just a bit more factual information, it would be a lot stronger. So
Okay.
basically, your strength for today is credibility as a speaker and also your pathos. I think these two are your biggest strength because you
Mm-hmm.
provided a personal experience, something that you related very closely, something that you've experienced, and then you provided a lot of things that happened to you, what your mom said. So that was very credible. And I
Mm-hmm.
like that. And you sound like you really care about educating the audience. So the
Mm.
credibility is there. And pathos is also there right from the beginning. We had the emotions right from the beginning, but it stayed on until the last sentence, which is good because your topic, I feel emotions is the main thing because
Yeah.
this is not
Yeah.
the kind of topic that we obviously
Science
even,
and facts.
yeah, we can
It's
still
more of
include
the
that,
mind.
yeah, but the most important thing is still emotions. So I think you did that and you chose that properly. So overall, I feel your message was very cohesive, consistent, and very well delivered. You were also very expressive, and most of the things that you did, it was not distracting. It actually adds to the effectiveness of your speech. So overall, I think you did a very good job, Uzma, despite
Thank you.
some energy, but I think it's still a very good speech, Uzma.
Thank you.
You did
Thank
very,
you.
very well. Okay, thank you, Uzma.
God bless.
All right, do not vomit. Go and sit down.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna sit down for the rest of the day now.
All right, yeah, it was a very good speech, Uzma. Okay, now let's move on to the next presenter. Can we have Millie?
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Just hold on a second.
Okay, sure.
Is my camera on?
I cannot see you yet.
Oh. Um.
Wait, is
Because
everything
I've been. Hello, sir.
Hi, yes, is everything all right?
Do
Have
you
you turned
mind
on your
if
camera?
I restart my? Yes, but can you see me? No.
No. The others, can you see Millie?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
Is it
Never
okay
mind.
if I go to restart my laptop first?
Okay, sure. Millie,
Okay.
we'll have the next presenter first, and then we'll have
Okay.
you after Nihat. All right?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. All right. Let's move on to the next presenter. Nihat, are you here?
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Can
Have
you
you?
hear
Mm, okay. Okay. We can see you.
can see me? Yeah?
Yes. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's begin with your presentation. Okay, all the best, Nihat.
Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to talk about social media. Social media is the means of global information. Thanks to that, people all around the world can get to know what is happening in different countries. This last couple of years, we've seen that a lot of things that happen in the world, and if we didn't have the media, then we wouldn't know anything. But thanks to the information spread by the media, it only takes minutes until the news is delivered. Media includes newspapers, TV, magazine, and etc. At first, people used to run media manually. There were a lot of difficulty in the job, but thankfully, in our generation, we get to see how technology works and improving each time. Thanks to that, now this makes our job much easier. Also, people are able to benefit much more. People feel very happy to exchange their experience with friends and getting feedback. Social media also created opportunities for people such as to show their talents. It's also great for advertisement. Social media is an online platform where we can share our thoughts, information, and pictures and videos. We all use it in our day-to-day life. It has become our routine of our life. There are various social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, etc. We all use them to communicate and socialize locally as well as globally. Social media has advantages and disadvantages. I would like to mention advantages of social media first. The biggest benefit of social media is that we can share our thoughts and ideas with people across the world. Also, we can showcase their talents on this platform. It also helps people earn money. Social media also is used to create awareness among people. People with good knowledge about topics use this platform to create awareness among people, means to educate some others in online platform. Now I would like to talk about the drawbacks of social media. the advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantages first is the addiction. Addiction is the biggest drawback of social media. You know, first thing you wake up, before even opening your eye, your hand starts searching all the bed, searching for the phone. You know, it has become so addictive that we have allowed it to be in our daily routine. We spend a lot of time in checking posts on media, spend a lot of time on social media. Also brings a lot of health disorder like stress, anxiety, and sleeplessness. Another drawback of social media is that we cannot trust all the information available here. Some information can be true while some can be fake. Sometimes news spread like fire in this platform. Our personal information becomes easily available on the net. Hence, we need to stay alert from hackers. Apart from this, cyberbullying is another major drawback of social media. Some people post negative hate comments on other accounts and harass them. As I said, social media has its advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is that socializing has made our life simpler and convenient. There are some disadvantages too. We need to use this platform wisely in a limited way so that we can make the most out of this platform. All right. With this, I'm going to end my speech. Thank you everyone for listening. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you, Nihat. First of all, your speech was only around 4 minutes. So we needed another 45 seconds to your speech. So let's talk about the other improvements. So for your speech today, like the beginning, I feel it lacked energy. I feel if you were to have a bit more expressiveness, then it would be effective. But I'm not sure if it's the time zone or if it's anything else. But the energy was not there throughout the whole speech. And this is what I noticed throughout the whole speech. It's basically, number one, it's very monotonous. It looks or appears as if you were reading, which is not a good way to deliver a speech. So group presentation, I want you to decrease a little bit of that. And when you were presenting earlier, your delivery style is more or less a listing. Kind of like, okay, let me tell you what is the advantage and you tell. Okay, let me tell you what is the disadvantage and you tell, which is not very exciting as well. Because if it's a presentation, it works. Because presentation, we just want to provide the information clearly as possible and as straightforward as possible. Here, when it comes to a speech, it has to be slightly different. You can play with stories, you can play with telling them your own experience, and that was not delivered throughout your speech. So basically, there was a lot of delivery that sounds like you are listening and reading, which is not very exciting. So I want you to improve a little bit for your group presentation, Nihat. Okay, but for your appeals, your logos and ethos are decent. There's a lot of good information there. It does sound like you know what you're talking about, but if you sound a bit more confident, your credibility would be better, because this is quite a simple topic and a very relevant topic to everyone. I'm pretty sure everyone would love to know more about social media, but because of your energy and also confidence is not there, you were reading, so we did not get that too much when you were presenting earlier, and your pathos was almost missing. I could not get connected to your message emotionally. Like, I did not get any form of feelings. I did not feel persuaded by your speech. I don't think it's influential yet. So let's work on that for your group presentation, especially your intonation and a little bit of energy so that we can engage more audience to your presentation. Okay, thank you, Nihat.
Right, thanks.
Okay, so can we go back to Millie? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back, sir.
All right, let's try.
Okay, can you see me now?
Okay, yes.
All right. So did I
Okay.
just start straight away?
Do you need any permission to share screen or whatever?
No.
Okay, let's just begin.
Okay. So by Fred Rogers that I came across on the internet a few months ago. Well, as simple and straightforward as this code may sound, however, not many people in the current society are able to comprehend the actual meaning of this code and be aware about the importance of self-love. In fact, we tend to perform actions out of self-hatred towards ourselves rather than an act of self-love. Try to take a moment and ask yourself, do you truly understand what loving yourself means? A very good morning to my respected lecturer, Mr. Muhammad Ma, and my fellow classmates. Before I begin my topic about how loving yourself is important, I would like to pass a question to everyone here. How do you define yourself as a person? Perhaps by your job, your physical appearance, your relationship status, or even your bank balance. Well, in today's modern society that we are living in, we tend to define ourselves through the opinions of other people and how they usually treat us. For example, if there is an occasion where people say that you are good looking, then you will find yourself to be attractive. Likewise, when someone makes a bad comment about your appearance, you might start to get self-conscious and feel negative about yourself instantly. You might start to wander in front of your mirror, staring directly into your own reflection, and then you'll think, oh, why am I so ugly? Why can I look better? Or why am I not like him or her? Now, these questions really sound familiar to most of us, right? We tend to be so lost within all these negative thoughts and we dwell on them for a really long time. But however, do you know why these negative comments could eventually influence you so badly? Well, my answer is because you don't love yourself enough. That's why you'll be afraid of judgment, you'll constantly compare yourself with others, and you only focus on the bad side of yourself. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and now allow me to tell you a story about myself. So last year when I was attending high school, I was terribly obsessed with weight loss. I wanted to be skinnier in order to look good and match the beauty standards of social media, which we know are mostly unrealistic. I admire all those celebrities, TikTok influencers, or even Instagram models with a lean and skinny figure. Especially the girls with the thigh gap, the thin waist, and the hourglass figure. And therefore, I watch my diet by counting every single calorie that I ate. I try not to exceed 1,000 calories every day, which was very unhealthy. And I also worked out intensely, in which it was too extreme for my body to even handle. Well, if we're wondering what are the consequences to my actions, I ended up going to the hospital knowing that I have severe gastric problems where my stomach could not function properly to digest the food that I consume. I destroyed my own physical body and I also destroyed my own mentality. I started to develop an illness known as body dysmorphic disorder, which refers to a mental health condition where a person spends most of their time worrying about the flaws of their appearance. I could not stop comparing myself with the people I see on social media. I judge myself so hard that I am definitely no match to them, even for the slightest. Being ashamed, embarrassed, and anxious, they were the only emotions that revolved around me throughout those times. My respected audience, as some of you may have experienced a situation similar to mine, or it may have been even worse. Now, most of us may still be struggling in this aspect of our lives, because even for myself, I still struggle time to time. But I would like to emphasize strongly that there is no need to fear it at all. To be able to overcome this hatred towards yourself, you must first realize the root of the problem, which is that certain hate you have towards yourself that makes you feel so insecure and, self-conscious. Okay, so a friend of mine have told me something meaningful last year, which definitely helped me a lot to escape my toxic mentality. So she told me about Pablo Picasso. He was one of the influential artists in the 20th century, where most people entitle his paintings as masterpieces. Although his paintings are well known for their uniqueness, we know that in fact, there are people who still find his paintings to be ugly and displeasing. However, we also know that his paintings eventually worth millions of dollars, right? It's actually the same way we can apply to ourselves. When we are different, sometimes we just don't see the millions of people who accept us for the way we are because we tend to notice the person who doesn't. I hated myself a lot, but now I learned that happiness is something that we create for ourselves and not by depending on the people around us at all. Instead of being ashamed about how others see you, always remind yourself to just be proud of who you are. Because when you put yourself first and add value to yourself, that is when self love really begins. Remember, your value and worth should never decrease because of the incompetence of others who just can't see how wonderful you are. Now, to end this with a positive note, I hope that everyone here today is able to take the step to start being grateful to yourself and understand your own worth and, begin to love yourself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Millie. Okay, let's talk about your improvements first. Okay,
Okay.
first of all, your body language. I don't know if you realize this, but you moved a little bit too much. I think you are on some kind of office chair where there's
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So what happened was, I know this is it sounds like a very minor thing, but your chair, because you keep on moving too much, your chair keep popping on and off from the camera.
No.
So visually it's a bit distracting, and it's not just your body movement and the chair and everything. You also tend to look up a couple of times. I'm not sure if you did you memorize, or is it a mechanism to make you feel better?
I think it's a mechanism for me to feel better because I almost memorize the whole thing.
Wait,
Yeah.
you memorized the whole thing?
Not the whole thing, but like the point forms. I remember the
Okay.
points. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So there were a couple of parts where I noticed you kept on looking up, which usually it will not be too much of a problem, but altogether it can be distracting a little bit because we have like little things here, little thing there. Then it can become one thing that can distract the audience. So probably for your next group presentation, I just want you to sit still, sit straight, and then look at the camera, so
Okay.
that it will improve a little bit on your body language, because you do have, it was just a bit much, I feel. And that's also another thing that I want to touch on with your delivery. Okay, your delivery were a bit casual at times. So I feel if we work on this, it would have sounded a bit more formal as well. Obviously, casual delivery is not a problem because your friends, I'm pretty sure they would have preferred something more casual. But still, we want it to be a balance of a little bit casual and a little bit formal as well. So if we can find the right balance, I think it would be very good.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Moving on to the positives. Okay, I feel your opening was very good. It was very relatable. You asked simple questions that I feel people have in their mind, and I like that you are talking about self-love. And we just had another speech of self-love, and this is very important because you provided a different perspective, and I like that. So this is always a good thing. even when we choose like a simple topic or the same topic, we can always have different way to interpret that topic, and you interpreted the topic in a different way, and I feel it was very relatable, and your delivery was very expressive, even though it was a little bit casual at times, but I wouldn't mind it so much because it was still engaging. Okay, your appeals, I feel the strongest element was your credibility as a speaker, because I like that story that you shared, and I thank you for sharing that story. Is that an actual event?
It was an actual event, but I didn't go to the hospital. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, just that part is fake, but otherwise it's really a true thing.
Okay, but I feel it's effective because usually when we provide this kind of personal struggle and experience, it becomes way more credible. And even if you never went to the hospital, but when you were presenting, you were believable. And that's what we want, because when we give a speech, we want the audience to believe. So basically, your credibility, I feel, was very strong because I could feel connected to you, and I could feel emotions as well when you were talking about that story, because I feel there must be some of your friends who might have experienced something similar to that, and it will be helpful for them. So I like that portion of the message. And it was also very strong in terms of your emotions. Your pathos is definitely there, and I could definitely relate to you as a presenter. Okay, your logos, again, I feel there were a couple of factual information, but maybe just a little bit more on factual information. But I wouldn't mind it so much because your ethos and your pathos, they were still strong, they were still present throughout your speech. And overall, I like your message because it was a very personal message. And at the same time, it was also relatable, it was expressive, and it was enjoyable to listen to, and at the same time we could learn something from your message. So overall, I really enjoyed your speech, and I feel you provided a very genuine speech, even though there were some parts were fabricated, but that's fine. During the moment, it sounded genuine, and that's what we want when it comes to a speech. So overall, as a speaker, I think you did a very good job with connecting to the audience, and it really does sound like your own personal experience. It sounds genuine, and it sounds like you care about yourself and also the audience, which is important because we're talking about self-love. So obviously, I feel the objective today was achieved by you as a speaker. You did a very good job. Okay, thank you for the wonderful speech, Millie.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, yeah, I think this age group, we need more topic on self-love, and this is a great example of self-love, simple topic, but it can be interpreted in different ways. So good job, Millie. All right, so now let's move on to the next speaker. Let's move on to Bunny. Are you here?
So,
Hi.
can you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay, so let's begin.
What would you do if you're denied freedom? Will you fight or will you run? Fight and you'll be killed. Run and you'll live a little longer without freedom. Well, to myself, I would say, you can take my life, but you can't take my freedom. These were words said by a Scottish actor named William Wallace on freedom. So good morning, my fellow students and sir. What are your thoughts on freedom after hearing such thoughts from the Scottish actor? Well, what comes to your mind when you first hear freedom? So in case you have anything in mind, you can type in the meeting chat and I can see it. What comes to your mind when you first hear freedom? Well, well, being free to be yourself, well, that's good. Independence, free will, yeah, that's all right. Doing what I want, yeah, that's also good. Yeah, I think I can go with those samples. Well, I would say living with freedom is the liberty to act, think, and converse without restrictions. And I would also say it is the lack of foreign dominance if it comes to nationwide or countries. And I would also say maybe it's a state of not being in prison. So all those can come in when you talk about freedom. So freedom is currently the most widely cited report in the current world situations full of wars and a lot of drama that is going on. Well, and it has been the most cited and also followed up theme in almost the last 40 years because there are a lot of civil wars, there are a lot of occasions that are happening worldwide, and they require a lot of attention because of political rights and also human rights. And just like any other thing, I would say freedom has both positive and negative impacts. But I would start with the good side, of which the positive impact, I would start by saying freedom allows people to express their own feelings, whatever way they want, and anyone can talk about anything he feels like at any time. He can have the right to talk about public or private sector, or he can talk about the government without anyone that is judging them for whatever they have talked about. And well, when we are able to express ourselves, that's really a good thing because we can come up with a lot of positive things in our society. Then I would also say another advantage is people are able to be creative, especially in the technology sector. When individuals or citizens are in a country and they have no threat of political instability, they can be able to be creative and innovative. They can do whatever they come up with, and they can be more innovative, especially in the technology sector. They can come up with more advanced things each and every day. And this is so useful in a community, and it can be also useful worldwide. So I would also say freedom is really good for mental health because once somebody is free and is having a free state of mind, he or she can do whatever he feels like. And mental health is important because that's also healthy. Because without freedom, you can't be at peace. So I would say that freedom is really important in the life we live in today. Then moving on to the bad side of freedom. Well, freedom also has limits, but people are taking advantage of it to say whatever they feel like at any time. For example, it comes up with consequences, especially when you're talking about religion, when you're talking about race. There you also have to have limits. You cannot be free to talk whatever you feel like because you are going to offend people, and that's going to come along with a lot of consequences. And that can result into violence. It can also come up with fights, especially for people that cannot control their emotions. So with freedom having limits, that's why the government has come up with rules to govern a country. And the rules have been brought via constitution. And that comes in along with the things like freedom of speech, freedom of press, and more other things to talk about. Because a nation has to put such things in place in order to achieve its goals to every nation and every country, or any society or any company has rules and guidelines. Because once you don't put rules, nothing can go on. Take an example of if we're allowed to do whatever we want in our countries or in our schools or whatever situation we're in, be it a family, I think things wouldn't go on well. So that's why nations have come up with such restrictions and has come up with constitution where people are penalized where they do not act right. But once such things are also not put into place, I think there are also consequences. Take an example, if the freedom of speech is too limited, if people are not allowed to talk in a country or people are not allowed to express their own feelings in a country, I think things won't work out well. And what do you think is going to be the next best solution when we are not free? People are going to come up with protests. There are others that can't decide to do peaceful demonstration, but there are those that are really fed up and are going to come up with violent demonstrations. And a case in example is the Black Lives Matter movement in the US in 2020. This came up after a young black man was killed by a cop, and the whole nation went crazy. The youth put law in their own hands, and therefore, when the situation was put under control, everything went back to normal. So I would relate this to the quotes that were said by a young black American famous man called Malcolm X. He said, "Nobody can give you freedom unless you demand it." And nobody can give you freedom unless you demand it. And we also know that very well. Once you don't demand for freedom, you don't get it. So in this time, I would say, in the current situation, we should not take things for granted. Even the small things matter. And perhaps otherwise, we should always consider every situation a person is in. And once we consider every situation a person is in, then we can all operate freely in the society and we can have a peace of mind. Thank you all. That's all I had on freedom.
Okay, thank you, Bunny. Let's talk about the improvements first. Okay, first of all, I feel most of your improvements are from your delivery. I feel if you had a bit more eye contact, it will be a bit more engaging. And when it comes to your topic, I like your topic, which I'll talk about very soon, what I like about it. But I feel this kind of topic, it's very important to work on stronger intonation. Because most of the time when you were delivering, the delivery was not up to par yet. So for this kind of topic, I would like to bring your attention to speeches like what I showed, I think, on Tuesday, the one given by Martin Luther King Jr. Obviously, that was a very good speech. He practiced a lot. But the reason why I'm trying to bring attention to that speech was because topics like this, we have to sound a little bit more stronger with the delivery, because we are basically talking about freedom. We are uplifting the audience. I feel if we were to have a bit more strength in the way that you present, the way that you say the quotes, especially in the beginning, when you asked that, I thought that was a very good beginning. When you ask them, if you fight, you will be killed, all of that, I think that was very good. And I also like the quote towards the end. We are just missing the strength, because topics like this, it's very crucial to have the strength in your voice and also intonation. If you had that, then it would have been a lot better. Okay, moving on from there, let's talk about your positive. Okay, I think the opening was very good. I like that because it was a very simple quote or situation that you provided, but eye-opening as well, and it's simple to provide your message. So the opening I thought was very good. We just needed a little bit more intonation. The question I thought was handled very well as well, because it allowed them to think on what freedom means. And when it comes to your appeals, your ethos and logos, they were very strong because you provided relevant argument and you displayed great understanding of what you are talking about. And freedom is such a, in my opinion, it can be a difficult topic to tackle because it can be controversial very quick. But you did not present in a controversial way. So I like that you painted a picture on freedom of speech. Even though that's important, you also tell them there's a line to freedom of speech, especially earlier when you talk about religion, and you cannot just simply say anything about other people's religion. So overall, credibility I thought was very strong. You really did understand what freedom means and what freedom of expression means as well. because this is something that people usually misunderstand, but you did not. You were able to provide a non-biased perspective to a very controversial or a very sensitive topic. So I thought you did a very good job. You were able to find the balance and you provided 2 point of views. Okay, but what's missing was your pathos. Because your words, Vani, I think they were very strong. The speech that you wrote, I really liked. I was really moved reading your script. But listening to your speech, I was not as moved as what you have written down. So for your group presentation, let's match whatever that you have written down, the message, and also the intonation, because I feel the two things are present. The script, very, very good. I really love your script. Number two, the message was also very important. You were also knowledgeable about what you were talking about. It was a non-biased discussion. What's missing was your delivery, your intonation. If we were to make it a bit stronger in the intonation department, this could have been a very motivating and a very uplifting speech, I feel. So for your group presentation, let's work on your intonation a little bit more so that it matches with the message that you are presenting. Okay, but overall, I really like your speech. Your delivery was good, but I'm going to push you a little bit so that we can have a bit more intonation. Okay, thank you, Bunny. A very good speech and a very uplifting discussion.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, a very lovely speech. All right, so now let's move on to the next speaker. Ishwar.
Hi, sir.
Hi. Okay, 1 second, yeah. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, can I start?
Okay, yes. Let's begin, Ishwar.
Okay. Good morning to my respected lecturer and my fellow classmates. Today, I will be talking about the unfair advantage of overconfidence based on the movie Catch Me If You Can. This movie tells the story of Frank Abagnale, a runaway teen, and his 5 years of impersonating a lawyer, a doctor, a pilot, and a high school teacher, while also forging and cashing in millions of dollars in checks. Frank's story turned out to be an inspirational one, as he redeemed himself and turned out to be incredibly talented. Now, as it is often the case in movies, Frank Abagnale's narrative is not simply a story of crime, but also a story of inspiration from which we can learn, because in many ways we are similar to Frank. Ultimately, Frank gets caught and he spends multiple years in French, Swiss, and American prisons. But after this, he is recruited by the FBI, working with them to expose other forgers and helping people not be the victims of fraud. Appearance is everything. Frank's 15-year-old self learns this lesson for the first time when his father tells him to dress himself as a chauffeur in order to impress the bank, which portrays the father as a successful entrepreneur. Later, Frank is forced to go to a public school when his father's business does not succeed. He escapes bullying by imitating a substitute teacher, an imitation he pulls off for a week simply because he's dressed like a teacher and he has the courage to impersonate one. He transforms himself from a prospective victim to a position of power. Look the part, act the part, and you can watch your deception become a reality. And it is this fact that plays a crucial role in his years of crime. There's also the reality that Frank was only a child when he fled his parents' divorce. Finding a means to survive was what led him to this wild adventure. Despite the fact that he went down a dark path, Frank is definitely gifted. And in addition, he mastered the art of forging checks that were virtually indistinguishable from the genuine ones. His charm and ability to express oneself are other strengths that Frank possesses. By having a deep understanding of human psychology, he has an unwavering confidence in his ability to influence and persuade others, and it is this part of Frank's story that I want to focus on. When he goes away, the first thing he does is change his age on his driver's license. This instantly enhances his first impression. This is because it allowed him to earn more wages, as older people are just expected to earn more than younger people. But it wasn't until he observed a pilot leave a hotel surrounded by stewardesses that he realized he had an epiphany. Frank was persuaded that he required the reputation and esteem that the uniform provided in order to be taken seriously, and as a result, he was able to cash in his forged checks. Clothes do, in a way, make the man. Regardless of the surroundings, individuals scan and filter instinctively and unconsciously for what is considered to be of value. Normally, this would be status, power, wealth, and physical attraction. It is not uncommon for people with these characteristics to be treated differently, for better or for worse, and this is what Frank understood. Not only does he look the part, but Frank also exudes the confidence and charm necessary to execute the role. When others believe he can do something or is someone, he goes along with it and convinces everyone that he is who he claims to be. At this point, the question is, how is this a positive thing? I mean, it's a crook who lies and steals. Frank is, mount, Frank is bound to meet his demise no matter how persuasive he may seem. However, there are ways to benefit from his traits without becoming a criminal ourselves. Confidence is one of the strongest traits that Frank possesses, yet is one of many traits that we struggle with. Confidence is the key to every con, including Frank's, and the greatest way to develop confidence is to exude it ourselves. Most of us struggle with confidence because we are also conscious of our own flaws, and something that many of us struggle with is imposter syndrome. It is when we doubt our skills, even though our peers tell us that we are doing well. Frank, on the other hand, appears to have the opposite of imposter syndrome. He has no talents to back it up, but he has the confidence to act as though he does. And it's amazing how far that takes him and how many doors open up as a result of his confidence. This only goes to demonstrate how vital it is to show confidence. Being modest and keeping your ego in check over, might help you enhance your abilities. But the contrary can also be true. Those who are self-assured, even if they are overconfident, are more likely to succeed. When it comes to the self-improvement culture, we frequently talk about how important it is to be egoless. While ego may be damaging, it can also be beneficial when used properly and wisely. If we continuously doubt ourselves, others will begin to doubt us as well. The more we believe in ourselves and our skills, the more opportunity we get. Most individuals undersell their own talents both to themselves and to others as a kind of defense mechanism. So we either fear failure or the responsibility that success brings. We play not to lose instead of playing to win. Now, of course, it is possible to bluff your way out of anything if you don't have any talents to back it up. But this has a significant disadvantage. To be clear, confidence is one thing, and correctly judging your own skills is another. But I'm arguing that it may be beneficial to be overconfident, putting yourself in circumstances where you claim you can do something when you're not quite sure you can. The reason for this is because it allows us to rise to the occasion by putting ourselves in an unpleasant circumstance where we are forced to grow. Because no matter how carefully we prepare, when we leave our comfort zone, we, we will still experience this uncertainty, this dread of disappointing people. When we accept an opportunity, even if we aren't sure whether we are ready or able, it forces us to rise to our own potential. And even if we fail, we discover that it is a better ending than not taking the opportunity at all. Of course, do not commit any crimes, but always portray yourself in the best possible way. Thank you all for listening and have a great day ahead.
Okay, Ishwar, okay, thank you for the speech. Okay, let's talk about the improvements and also the positives. Okay, first of all, I think the speech was good because the moment you said the title of the movie, you draw me in because I love that movie. But here's the thing, I feel that movie, the synopsis, everything, it went too long. Because I get what you're trying to do. You were basically relating your point of view, discussion, and arguments, and you relate it with the movie. Okay, I get what you were trying to do, but I feel it could have been a bit more effective if we just begin with the movie just to allow people to understand what it is, because it's if I'm not mistaken, it's a well-known movie. People might be attracted to it, and once they are engaged in your speech, provide them some other examples, because in real life we have a lot of cases like this. Criminals who are very smart, witty, and they are very quick-witted. We have a lot of this. So I feel you could have had taken a lot of different events that are real and related with a story, because I feel the movie part, the synopsis, was overused a little bit. Because in the beginning, okay, I was engaged because I loved that movie. I remember all that was happening, and then I was really interested to listen. But the more that we go on, the interest kind of decreased a little bit because of a few reasons. And number one, because I feel it was overused. So include some other examples as well, because when you are talking about criminals who are very smart, who are very quick with their thinking, we have a lot of examples, especially real life examples. So include a little bit of that as well, just to vary your discussion. And your intonation, I feel, could be a bit more effective as well, because there were a couple of parts you did have intonation, but I would say 80% to 90% of your speech, it was missing proper intonation. And I think your logos was rather weak together with your pathos. So we probably can improve on this too for your group presentation. Okay, but what I like about your speech was, okay, the beginning I thought was good. It was creative, but like I mentioned, it went on too long, I feel. Provide some other examples so that we do not rely too much on the movie, because we have to remember this is a speech. We want to really convince them that this is important. But if the example is just from one movie, then it's not very credible, or it's not very exciting. Okay, and moving on from there, your ethos, even though I feel there were moments that could have been improved, but I like that you were able to relate your discussion and your argument with the movie. And then towards the end, you kind of develop into your own in terms of the speech that you provided. But I feel towards the end, it was a bit too late, too little, too late, in a sense that, okay, now probably people are expecting you to bring up the movie again, and you might have lost attention by then. So vary the story or experience, because topics like this, there's a lot of examples out there, and we can take real life examples because there's a lot of that going on in the world without being political or whatever. But I feel the message was clear. You provided a couple of disclaimer that you're not encouraging them to become criminals, but it's more or less to take the positive from this criminals. So I like that. The message was clear. I just wish it could have been a bit more interesting. It could have varied a little bit, and not just, I think 70 or 60% of it was the movie and your discussion, and the rest is your own speech. I feel you could have varied a little bit on the discussion and examples. Okay, but overall, I like what you did. Okay, but let's not overuse the movie as a form to engage them, because we have to remember the movie is something that draw them in. Once they are interested, change it, give other examples so that they will be invested. Because let's say if your audience love or have watched the movie, they might slowly lose interest because all of the examples are taken from the movie, and they could have just watched the movie later if they wanted to. So overall, if you were to provide some other examples, it will be a bit more interesting, Ishwar. Okay, thank you, Ishwar.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now let's move on to the next speaker, Ziyi.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Can you see me?
Okay, wait, not yet. Okay, good.
Can I
Alright.
start now?
Yes, you may begin.
Sometime in the near future, a majority of us will be needing a job application filled up with internships that we've been to. And I would like to be paid for my work as an intern. And that's why I'm here, hoping that all interns will be paid as not only to gain experience, but cash too. A very good morning to my lecturer, Mr. Muhammad Mawa, and my fellow classmates. Today, I'll be talking about the importance of paid internship, and I hope that you will have changed your mind about paid and unpaid internships after hearing why I think internships should be paid. Well, to start off with the most obvious reason of all, if you're in the shoes of an employer, you would want to have the will to choose from multiple choices of interns for when you're offering job positions for interns. When interns are searching for internships to apply to, they would pay most attention to those offering payment for their work. A study was done by internmatch.com on their very own website. They host online internship advertising services, and on their site, paid internships get clicked on 2.5 times more than unpaid postings. And as they apply for internships, in return, you will have a lot more candidates to choose from experience or their area of expertise. Interns should also be requesting for paid internship as they know their money, their work is worth the money and their knowledge. And because money is on the line, they are exchanging time for it. This will be a constant worry for them as an intern or a worker, and having to go to work in order to prove that they are worth the job offering from the employer. Employers expect interns to treat internships as a real job, and having someone to work for you means taking load off their shoulders. That's why employers expect interns to be at their full efficiency and taking their jobs or internship seriously and dedicated towards it. A paid internship also gives employers more flexibility or power, you would say, in assigning projects or providing interns with ownership over their work, having to show up to time on work, or to be prepared for the next day of work would just peak performance level, thus more success in your business. The level of productivity is the key to success in a business, and employers desire that productivity is always at the top-notch level. This is where paid internship comes into play. These types of internship may help them with motivation or even happiness towards their work. And research has shown that happier employers are much more productive than normal workers when they are happy. 12.8% to be more exact. The attendance, customer satisfaction level worked faster and are ahead to be at their workforce schedule more closely. Tasks that you have been assigned to them would go by faster too. At the end, interns working for you may like their job very much and hopes to be hired after their internship ends. And interns that you've hired turning into full-time workers are beneficial towards the employer, him or herself too. After having them to work for you for a period of time, you know which young talent is at field. And hiring them into full-time also helps save times and hassle for the hiring process. Those who turn into full-time team members are already on board and up to speed with progress, resources, and it comes along with experience and workflow that you have been satisfied with. 63% of paid interns receive jobs offer after their internship, while 37% are unpaid internships. So paid internships do go both ways. But if my previous points haven't been convincing enough yet, morally speaking, paying your interns is just the right thing to do. And this is my take on why you should pay your interns. Thank you for listening in and have a good day.
Okay, thank you, Z. Okay, first of all, it's 4 minutes, 15 seconds. So we need 30 more seconds from your presentation. And I feel this relate with your delivery. Because when you were delivering earlier, Z, I think you were rushing a little bit. You were very fast and you almost did not have any pauses at all. Like from one sentence, you went straight to the next sentence and on and on and on. So it was not enough time for us to digest. And from your delivery as well, it's under 4 minutes, 45 seconds. So I feel you could have slowed down a little bit so that we can fully digest your information, because I feel your logos and ethos, they were great, but we did not have time to really pay attention and to understand what you're trying to persuade in your speech. Okay, moving on to the positive. I like the beginning. Okay, but the beginning, I feel it was decent. You told them that this is going to be something that they're going to experience sometime in the future. But I feel if you explore a little bit, or maybe if you provide some kind of story here, then it would have been a bit more exciting so that they can imagine that, oh, we are going to become interns one day. And then maybe if they knew how difficult it is to become an intern, then they would have felt, or they would have agreed with you right from the beginning. Because the beginning, I think it was decent. It could have been stronger. The good thing that I think about your speech was your logos and ethos. They were very good. A lot of factual information provided, a lot of great arguments that you provided. And I do agree with a lot of things that you were trying to provide earlier, but it was just not as convincing. And a pathos element was quite weak, because I mean, I've been an intern many, many years ago. So I know how difficult it is to become an intern, because sometimes you're paid, sometimes you're not paid. So I know it's difficult. But if, let's say, I've never experienced that, I cannot relate to what makes internship so difficult, listening to your speech. So the emotions part, I didn't get as much. So maybe we can work a bit more on your pathos for your group presentation. So overall, a little bit slower, okay, more pauses and more intonation as well, and focus on your pathos element so that it will become a bit more persuasive no matter what your message is. Okay, thank you, Z.
Okay, thank you.
All right, now let's move on to Chan Yi Swen.
Hi, sir.
Okay, hi.
Can you give me the permission to share a video
Okay,
first?
sure. 1 second, yeah. Okay. All right, so permission is given. All right, so are you ready? Or is the video in the beginning or towards the end?
It's in the beginning.
Okay, go get the video ready first then. Okay, do you want to just see if the sound is there?
Okay, wait.
So sitting comfortably.
Okay.
Can listen?
Yes. All right,
Okay.
so we'll begin with your speech, all right? Okay, let's begin.
Before I begin, I would like to ask everyone here to calm down and listen and follow the video I present later, which is about a short meditation.
So sitting comfortably, just taking a big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. As you breathe in, noticing how the body expands. As you breathe out, just watching the body soften as you gently close the eyes. And rather than the mind leading the breath, allow the breath to lead the mind. Notice the sensation of the breath. Notice it where you feel it in the body. If you need to, you can just gently place your hand on the stomach. And just following that rising and falling sensation. Nothing else to do. Allowing thoughts to come and go. And when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes again.
Through this video, is everyone of you feel relaxed now? The reason I share this video is because some of us here may be a little nervous as you may present after or before me. But this is also related to the topic I'd like to share today. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ishan. Today, I would like to talk about the power of meditation. Meditation is a psychological exercise that trains our focus and consciousness. The aim of meditation is mainly to make a person feel relaxed and have inner peace. In this present era, everyone will face different kinds of challenges and difficulties in our life. For example, most of us here have assignments we need to complete, or maybe part-time work we need to do. Some may even have other problems like family issue, finance issue, or relationship problems that we need to face. Therefore, we need something or some ways to relieve ourselves, which is meditation. Meditation is one of the most effective ways to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression because it trains our brain to adapt more effectively to stressful events. For instance, we might be stressed or nervous before a presentation or exams. A short meditation at this time will help us in relieving stress and refreshing our minds. This really works as I experienced it before. To support my claim, research published in the journal Psychiatry Review in April 2018 revealed that people with a generalized anxiety disorder who participated in a MBSR program, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction program, reduced stress indicators more than a control group. To move on, I would like to ask a question here and you can think by yourself. Do you find yourself easily distracted and unable to concentrate on a single task? Most probably you will say yes. Here, meditation can help you to focus more as it can reverse our brain's patterns that lead to poor concentration and mind wandering. Meditation be thought of as a mental workout. Each meditation helps you improve your brain power, just like each workout helps you to build your muscles. According to one study, people who participated in a 13-minute daily guided meditation for a total of 8 weeks had a lower negative mood states, improved attention, and also strengthened their memory. Therefore, the more you meditate, the simpler it is to shut out distractions and concentrate. After talking about all the benefits of meditation, people may be wondering how to meditate. Is it just sitting down, closing your eyes, and do nothing? What type of meditation is the most suitable one for us? Here, I'd like to introduce 2 types of meditation that are most suitable for every one of us here. Firstly, it is called guided meditation, which is the best one for all beginners. For guided meditation, we can search for meditation videos or podcasts online, such as videos from Headspace, just like I shared before. In those videos, background music given can calm you down while remaining mindful of your surroundings. Even though there may be a brief moments of silence, but meditators are usually given instructions throughout the meditation from the video or podcast we have searched. This will help you keep on track and away from your distracting thoughts. As a result, guided meditation is ideal for beginners who are just starting to sit in a quiet focus. The second type of meditation that is best for stress relief is called mindfulness meditation. It all comes down to focusing on the present moment and accepting it without judgment. So, When certain ideas, feelings, or sensation arise, you learn to simply notice their presence, accept them, and then let them go. It takes around 10 to 30 minutes to complete, and it's mainly used to reduce tension after a hard day of studying or working. These are the two types of meditation for beginners and for stress relief. In conclusion, the power of meditation can be more than what we expect. Meditation allows us to relieve stress and anxiety, clear our minds, and focus more on our tasks. A short meditation before we go to bed or before we start our day in the morning will make a significant difference in our mentality and also enhance our mental health. I hope that my speech today is beneficial to everyone here and that it will assist all of you here to live a happy life. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Yishan. All right, so let's talk about the improvements first. Okay, first of all, let's talk about in the beginning when you played the video, right? Okay, I did notice you were trying to show them like kind of like a demo on how to meditate alongside the video. Okay, but you did not go all in. You kept on opening your eyes. I'm not sure if you were trying to demo that or
No,
you
no,
were
no.
just you
I
were not
just
trying
showing
to.
the video because they are closing their eyes to like experience the whole video. Then for me, I'm a bit
Okay.
nervous also, so I try to also follow.
All right. If you want to follow, that's good. I think that's great because, you know, when we want to teach them how to meditate, maybe show them how to do it because this is like I wouldn't say it's a difficult thing, but if you show them, then it will be a bit more effective. But you, I wrote here, you look like you tried to meditate to show them how, but you did not go all in. I wish you would have actually meditated alongside the video in the beginning. Then it would have been a more exciting or more easy to understand because let's be honest, there will be some of your audience who will not do it and they will just focus on your presentation. But I don't think that's a big thing. It was still good, that video. But let's talk about the other improvements first. Okay, your enunciation, I feel needs a little bit of work, especially when you have words that end with like ed in terms of past tense or words like that. I realize that you tend not to pronounce them as clearly. There were a couple of other words as well, but I noticed when it is a certain word, it's slightly unclear. Like, for example, there was one part where you repeated the word revealed a couple of times in a short span, but the pronunciation is not very clear. I'm pretty sure you know how to pronounce it. It's just not pronounced clearly. And this is something that keeps on happening throughout the speech. There were a couple of other words I noticed you tend not to pronounce clearly as well. And one other thing, in terms of your speech, the part where you ask them if you are easily distracted, I feel it would be a bit more effective if we change. Okay, most probably you said yes to if you said yes, because we don't want to assume that your audience are easily distracted by things in daily life. So I think if we change the wording a little bit, it would have been way more effective. Okay, but let's talk about the positive. The video, I think it was very good. I like that the video was simple, it's interesting, and from the beginning itself, we know what meditation looks or sound like, so that's great. Your delivery, I thought, was also very good. You had great voice projection, you were very expressive, and you have great intonation throughout your presentation. So let's work on your enunciation because I feel you're almost there. So we have to push a little bit, then you're going to be a great communicator. And your body language, I thought it was good, but sometimes it was overdone a little bit, especially when you kept on referring to your mind, and you did it a couple of times. I thought it was a little bit overused at times, but it was not distracting. Maybe toned down just a little bit less, just a little bit. Okay, and your appeals, I feel the strongest parts were your ethos and logos. It was a very credible speech, and it was also filled with factual information. There were a lot of facts, there was a lot of discussion, and you were knowledgeable throughout the discussion. Your pathos, I thought, was also very good. It was very expressive. So overall, the message I thought was achieved because you basically tried to educate them on what meditation is. It's not so much on persuading them, but rather influencing and educating them what meditation is. And I think you achieved that objective. So overall, there's a lot of good things here when it comes to your delivery. Just be a bit careful with your choice of words and a little bit more with your enunciation, then it would be way better. But for today, I think you still did a very good job. You delivered a very great speech today, Yishan. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good work. Yes, it's helpful, especially for the next presenter. Okay, let's. Oh, are you the next presenter? Oh, yeah.
Yes,
All right.
okay. So I'm gonna start right away, sir.
Okay, wait. Give me 2 seconds, Samuel. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, you have to probably speak a little bit louder because I hear there's some kind of construction.
Oh yeah,
in the
there
back.
is renovation upstairs.
Okay. All right. Just a bit louder. All right.
Okay.
Okay. You may begin.
Look, it's money and it's a 10 ringgit bill. This is exactly how much pocket money I received during my primary school year, and it was not one day, but a whole week's pocket money. So you can imagine average out is 2 ringgit a day. Well, what can you do with 2 ringgit a day? Buy a bread, nasi lemak, and maybe some simple snacks, which can't even fill your stomach. So as we all know, money, the more the merrier, and we can never have enough of it. So because I needed more money, I actually made the choice to steal some money from my parents' bedroom when they were away. And because of that, I could buy all the soft drinks and fried chicken I liked. But this was really selfish and a wrong thing to do. And I'm sure each and every one of you have done something dumb like this and have regretted. Because whenever I look back, I truly regret my past actions and I feel very shameful to even share it. Well, what causes all these regrets? Poor decision making. In 2019, an estimated number of 700,000 youths in US were arrested. This is mainly because they were naive and not aware of the consequences of their actions. Good morning, Mr. Muhammad Mawa and my fellow friends. I would like to start off by saying that no one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes and has regrets. Instead of looking back to the past, which we can't change, let's focus on the present and prepare ourselves for the future. Many of you have probably already been taught this, or maybe have heard many times, maybe from your parents, leaders, and elders. But I'm here to remind you again to think before you act. So many of you might say, this is very simple. Who doesn't think before they act? Well, how many actions have you done in the past month that you can remember and you regret doing it? I'm sure many of you have regrets. In an online study, it shows that 90% of adults have a major regret, and regret is also the second most common emotion after love. So everything we do from the outside starts from the inside. Don't just use your head to think of how to do things, but why you do them. And this will also let us be aware of our true motives. Well, both the why and how we do things are actually equally important. Good deeds and our motives and our actions can also be divided into two. So deeds, there is good deeds and there is evil deeds. Good deeds can be something simple like helping your friends out of goodwill maybe, or kindness, or love. Or maybe on the other hand, we have looking good to look good to others, gain favor, or maybe out of guilt to atone for something we have done bad to someone else and we feel bad for it, so we do something good. On the other hand, we do bad things because we are self-centered, greedy, envious, and prideful. According to the Bible, Jesus, the God of Christians, also known as a religious teacher, mentioned that no man is actually good. All of us are sinful by nature, but however, we actually have a choice to choose between good and evil. We can stop ourselves from continuing to reach and follow the desires of our hearts. I would also like to tell you a very important point. No bad deeds can be cancelled out by your good deeds. So you can never justify your wrong with good deeds, nor can they be justified with a good cause. For example, soldiers of our nation, of our countries, kill enemies to protect our country from being attacked. But it doesn't change the fact that they have murdered somebody. So what comes around goes around. Victor Hugo, a famous French novelist and poet, once said, "Every blade has two edges. He who wounds with one wounds himself with the other." From both world wars, soldiers have developed PTSD, post-traumatic disorder, which caused them to have traumas and they cause them to have suffer psychology after the war, even though it has been many years after the trauma. My dear audience, would you still be a soldier after hearing the cost that comes with it? As for me, the answer is obviously no. Why? Because we as humans are all born with a fear of death. Likewise, we are also naturally afraid and not prepared to pull the trigger of a gun to take away the precious life of other living things. The key here is being prepared of the consequences of your actions. As the saying goes, you reap what you sow. So in addition to this, there is actually a golden rule which actually was also taken from the Bible that goes well with it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you always mistreat others, do not expect them to help you in your time of need. And I would like all of you to cooperate with my question. How many of you believe that shortcuts do not work in life? Please react with a thumbs up if you do not believe it works. Well, actually, for me, I think they do work, but not all of them work because it depends on whether your shortcut are smart cuts, on whether you cut out the unimportant part and keep the crucial parts that you need. Back in high school, I wasn't the most studious person, so whenever I do past year papers, I would always refer to the answer sheet and copy them. But the thing that was different was I observed the answer and the methods to answer the paper. So I learned the technique to answer them and how to solve them on my own. But this wasn't the case for one of my subjects, ICT, because although I learned the shortcuts of programming software, I did not memorize any of the coding at all. So I only solved the temporary problem, but did not gain any skills to solve programming. So if I have any questions about programming in the future, I would not know how to do. Lastly, do not let your emotions control you. We must not be affected by them as they often lead to poor choices. When we get angry or annoyed, our thoughts become disrupted and we end up saying harsh words, being disruptive, or even hurting others physically in the heat of the moment. But we only will regret them after on. And unfortunately, there is no undo in life, and you can never take back what you said or recover the objects you have broke. And in worst case scenarios, you cannot even recover the relationships that you spent a long time to build with your friends. So please be careful of what you say and how you act. And the best way to deal with this is to maybe calm yourself down before acting. So please think of the what, why, and how before acting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Samuel. Okay, first of all, it's around 7 minutes 50 seconds, so it's a little bit longer. All right, never mind, but we'll talk about the improvements first, Samuel. Okay, first of all, I think you know what I'm going to say first. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the delivery. Okay, I feel it's too rehearsed. And today we're not just talking about your energy, because I think your energy is fine. Okay, but I feel they were too rehearsed because number one, you tend to emphasize on the last words in every sentence. So when we emphasize on every last word in every sentence, that's the first sign that I can tell, okay, this presenter has rehearsed way too much to the point that he knows how to deliver it, but it was overdone a little bit. So I want you to be careful not to emphasize on unnecessary words, especially if it's the last word in your sentence, because there was a lot of that going on earlier and it just sounded a bit awkward at times. Okay, number two, your body language, a little bit less. I could swear that you have body language or gesture for every single word that you provided earlier. Okay, and that's not very, I mean, it's good to have body language, but at some point it becomes a little bit cliche. It was overused because every single action you basically showed in your speech earlier. So a little bit less of that. So that we have to remember, if it's like a younger audience, I think they're gonna love you because you're very expressive, you're very, I would say, animated as well. They would love this. But we have to also consider our audience, like older audience, not that they do not like all of this body language, but we just have to make sure the body language is a bit more refined. For you, it's like obvious. When you were talking about gun, you made gun gesture. And there were a couple more earlier that you did. So a little bit less of that so that it becomes a bit more refined for our audience. Okay, but let's talk about what I like about your speech. I think your attention getter was very good. I like the money part. I like that it manages to draw the audience in very quickly. So that was very good. And your projection, I thought it was very expressive, but the expressiveness toned down just a little bit and varied the tone a little bit because there were a couple of parts that I could tell your tone was unnecessarily high. So play around with your tone a little bit. And after that, your voice projection I thought was very great, very clear to understand. And I could tell that you are comfortable and you are confident as well as a speaker. So that part, I don't want you to change anything. I like your charisma. I like your confidence. That's very good. We just have to tone down a little bit on the body language and refine it so that it suits our audience. Okay, your appeals, however, I think everything was present. I think you were very knowledgeable. You were very confident. And I like that you brought a Bible into the discussion because that's where the knowledge facts come in as well. So I like that. And your pathos, I felt was very strong because you were very energetic and expressive from beginning to end. One thing that I wish you could have had was the tone. If we vary just a little bit, then your pathos would have been perfect, but it's almost there. We just have to refine a little bit. And I think this is the kind of thing that you probably need to listen. So in preparation for your group presentation, I want you to listen back to your recording and with a video and everything, look how you present and identify which part is overdone, which part is good, and retain the good parts. So overall, your message was very clearly delivered, very confidently presented, but there were a few moments I felt it was overdone so we could refine that a little bit. But I always say this in class, I do not mind when you give more, because I find it a bit easier to ask you to tone down rather asking you to go up. So whatever you did today, very good job, great speech, just refined a lot of things, then it's going to be a lot more better and a lot more perfect for this audience. But I still think you did a very good job today. We just need to fine tune a little bit so that it fits the audience. Okay, but overall, I think you did a very good job, Samuel. Okay, good work.
So actually, I didn't rehearse twice, but the thing I think it's because I was nervous, so I emphasized on the last words. And also because of the renovation, it keep disturbing me.
Yeah, probably because of that as well. Maybe you were thinking about how well you're gonna do. All right, so let's try to work on the anxiety as well, if you feel it's related to the anxiety. And don't worry about if let's say your group presentation, there's some kind of renovation going on again, your voice projection is very clear. I could barely hear the sound in the back earlier. So whatever you did today, keep that up. Just fine tune that and a little bit less, then it would have been a good balance. Okay, very good job, Samuel.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to the next speaker.
Should I turn on my camera?
Oh, wait, who is this?
Yeah, Moheb.
Moheb. Yes, Moheb. You're not presenting today, right?
I am, sir. I am. I actually stopped for this presentation on my way, so I can present today.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So should I start?
Okay, 1 second. Okay, yeah. Let's begin with your presentation.
Okay. So basically, the topic I chose, I'm going to be under a lot of heat today after I disclose of the topic I chose today for moving forward. So not so long ago, when I was 8, I got my first ever video game console. For a brief couple of years ahead, I believe that was the happiest day of my life. But as I grew up, that was when I realized how wrong I was. Video games seemed to be my one and only love until I turned 17. And trust me, it had all my attention, care, and devotion. I was so committed to it, every game seemed to be a new challenge in my life. Until one dark day, I got my hands on a game that was PG rated. I played it continuously, not knowing what big of an impact it had laid on my mind. As bedtime approached, I couldn't close my eyes. I started to panic because when everything went quiet, this little creaking sound and a little movement in the curtains just made me panic. And I screamed. I screamed the loudest that day. And my parents came rushing to see me pale with fright all over me. That's when I realized Resident Evil wasn't a game. That horrifying game, that horrible game wasn't a game to be messed with at that time. A game that cannot be played by adults and was in the hands of an 11-year-old kid. And from that day to today, I cannot sleep with all the lights off. For some of you, it may be funny. For some of you, it may be weird. But for me, it had a deep impact on my mental state. A mango morning to my respected lecturer, Mr. Muhammad Mama, and my fellow course mates. After listening to my personal experience with gaming consoles, you might not be persuaded to think, how can video games play such a drastic influence on a child's mind? Many namely games such as GTA 5, Resident Evil, and Call of Duty are the root cause of how games become violent. Repeated gunshots, usage of weapons with detailed descriptions, bloodshed sensitive graphics, deformities, and supernatural involvements in games. I ask you, very humbly respectful audience, are these elements in any way going to nourish the adults of tomorrow in a positive manner? Exposure to such ferocious environment through games at such a young age, is it seriously not going to leave any effect on a kid's mental state? If you think no is the answer to this, I will willingly agree to disagree. My dear course mates, I would like to share a quote of Mr. Thompson, and I quote, "Guns don't kill people. Kids who play video games kill people. Where negativity is present, tragedy follows up." In 2016, after the release of the infamous game GTA 5 worldwide, an 18-year-old gunman who killed 22 people and injured 24 others in Walmart in El Paso, Texas, made a fleeting reference and posted to his social media handle, and I sadly quote, "Playing GTA Live." A Supreme Court decision in 2011 and a California law that stated that a ban to the sale or rental of violent video games to minors on the grounds that its vague and ill-defined language violated the First Amendment right of the entertainment merchants. This being one and only a handful of precautions taken against the violent games portrayed or the violent scenes portrayed in video games. Another rather horrifying setback came in 2013 when a 15-year-old brutally murdered one of his friends in retaliation for the friend killing his gaming character in the morning. Can you guys just imagine just for killing his gaming character in the morning? For that kid, this isn't violence probably. He thought that just like his character revived in the morning, his friend would too. But little did he know that in real life, reviving does not exist. Ladies and gentlemen, nowadays video games carry nudity, graphics that kids and sometimes adults with health issues or a weak heart should not see. Though they took a precaution with advising that people with a soft heart or precautious heart should not see the graphics that are gonna come. When video game time goes up, face-to-face social activities where children learn to basically socialize subtle nuisances of verbal and non-verbal communications, physical activities and time for academics goes down. This imbalance can lead to social withdrawal. This imbalance can lead to obesity and academic problems. Limitation towards video games and supervision are the main reason which a child can be prohibited or supervised from basically stopping from actually focusing on video games that much. For example, vision problems, epileptic seizures, and obesity. Now, you may wonder these health problems can be caused due to other reasons too. And I'll agree with my audience this time. But for every problem, a solution is important. And in this case, scenario, this is limiting the time of video games. In an editorial entitled Effects of Violent Video Games, 50 years on, where are we now? Guest editors of the special issue, Simon Goodson, PhD, and Kirsty Turner, PhD, from the University of Huddersfield, stated the aim for the special issue is to present empirical findings based on meticulous research in order to provide a more informed resource for the debate of the effects of playing violent video games. My dear fellows, video games is an addiction, and quitting, therefore, is not a solution. So the best person can do is limit his use and supervise his kids or younger siblings so they don't go mentally drained due to lack of attention and supervision. My argument just states that all of us one day get exposed to this bitter truth about video games before it starts affecting more of our future generation. I stand by you and in front of you being a victim of this same video game that make your childhood sweet and tuneful. Us humans have a problem when it comes to things that please our mind and cause laziness. We tend to inherit that lifestyle no matter how it affects our mental state. My humble friends, I would like to conclude my word with a positive note and a powerful quote. First of all, violence is never an option and their median not an attraction. And anything that promotes violence dislodges humanity, and humanity is a religion followed everywhere. I would like to end my speech with a quote from Nolan Bushnell, and I quote, video games foster the mindset that allows creativity to stop. Thank you so much for having an ear for listening to my words. Take care, all of you.
Okay, thank you, Muhib. All right, first of all, let's talk about the negative, not so much, because I think you did very well. Okay, for your speech earlier, I feel the one thing that you should be careful of is your pace, because there were a lot of parts that I could tell that you were excited, your adrenaline increases, and you became faster and faster, you became very expressive, which is good, but at certain places, I feel you could have slowed down and probably have more pauses when you are presenting, because there were a couple of enunciation errors or issues that I noticed throughout your speech, probably because you were a bit fast and at the same time you were excited, and you told me you are on some kind of you are in a car at the moment, so probably that contributes to that as well.
For the past 3 hours, yeah.
All right, but I still think you did a very good job despite the challenges that you are in. But let's talk about your attention getter. Even before you mentioned Resident Evil, I know you are going to bring that up I love Resident Evil, so I know where you're going. So I think your beginning was very good. As a fellow gamer and as someone who loves Resident Evil, I know where you're going into. So I like that because it was able to engage me right away with your discussion. And I feel it's very easy to relate to as well. And let's talk about your discussion because your discussion can be controversial or sensitive, like just like your disclaimer in the beginning. But I didn't mind it because, okay, number one, your pathos I felt was very graphic. It was very expressive. You were also very excited. But certain places I feel it was your downfall just a little bit because there were a couple of parts I felt you could have had more pauses, but it was still very expressive and you had great intonation nonetheless. But I feel your discussion was still respectful. I do not agree that video games promote violence. I do not agree that, but you provided arguments that is respectful, and I like that you take factual events, you take historical events, and you take this as if you are talking about a very sensitive topic, and you do not neglect to once in a while refer back to the audience and tell them, okay, this might be what you think, and I do agree with that point, but here's a counter argument. So I like that because you did not neglect what the audience is going to think, because you know coming in, this is a controversial statement. So you were able to provide both point of view. So that's why even though I disagree with that statement, but I still think you presented and discussed everything very, very well. It was still polite. And I like the way that you tackled the issue. You were tackling the speech as if you were criticizing someone's religion. You were very polite, very professional. Very good. Because this is what we want, especially when we are challenging someone's opinion or a different point of view. And your ethos was also very strong because you provided a lot of personal experience and you discussed all of the controversy politely and respectfully. So overall, I really enjoyed your speech because you were very expressive and you were also able to provide very great arguments to your discussion. And it was not biased, even though coming in, you are going to talk about how it promotes violence and all of the negative effects. You did not neglect what the audience might think about the issue, and then you provided professional and a polite counterpoint. So this is how you should go in and discuss something controversial. So I like the way that you treated this as if you are talking about the most controversial topic in the world. You were very respectful and very professional. So I think you did a very good job today, Mohib. Okay, good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mohib. Okay, now let's move on to the next speaker. Okay, let's have Ruth.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes, everything is clear. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's begin with your presentation, Ruth.
Out of every 100 women in America, 80 of them dislike the way they look. And this is sad. This is sad because the people that influence these women, these beautiful women, to not be satisfied with the way they look are fellow women. A good example would be women that have just given birth. These women are judged, they're body shamed, all because of the weight that they have gained during that period of time. This is the kind of society that we live in. But it doesn't end there. We also have a 30% of men who are not satisfied with the way they look. If you don't have a jawline, don't even look at me twice. If you don't have abs, what are you doing? Go to the gym, get those abs. That is the kind of society we live in. Social media has been able to upbring these standards, these features that one is supposed to have in order to be considered beautiful or handsome, something that is a lie. And in our generation, this generation, The kids nowadays grow up thinking that I need to be girly enough. I need to have a pretty dress on, or I need to have my hair up and put some makeup on so that I can be considered somebody in this society. Thanks to the World Health Organization, we're able to see that approximately 280 million people globally suffer from depression, and 264 million suffer from anxiety. And all of this is because of the lack of self-love. We end up having these mental disorders all because we're unable to love ourselves and appreciate ourselves. Good afternoon to you all. Before I keep on going, I'd like to tell you a short story. Olivia, my best friend at the time, she enrolled to a new school. It was a mixture school, meaning that we had both boys and girls. At the time, she was 16, meaning that she was growing. So she had all these emotions and feelings going all over her head. She really didn't know how to say no or keep boundaries because she was just still growing up. 1 year later, by the time I got to see her, she was so different. I barely recognized her. She came from being the most optimistic and charming person I knew to the most depressed and self-absorbed person I've ever met. And it's sad because it's the reality of teenagers today. All she cared about was, oh, did I post today? Is my makeup okay? She just cared about what other people thought of her. She never really had the time to think about what she wanted and what was important to her. But thanks to the support system that she had her brothers and sisters that set her straight, that showed her life has so much more to offer than relationships and caring about other people's opinions. But that's Olivia. Olivia had a support system. The real question is, what about this generation? Who's gonna look at them and tell them that they're beautiful without that makeup on? That they're accepted just as they are? Ladies and gentlemen, your value does not lie on the way your body looks. You are beautiful just as you are. Everybody is going through a hard time. Everybody is trying to be better. If you go on Google and search self-love, Google is going to tell you that love is a state. But that's not true. Let me let you in on a little secret. Love is about forgiving yourself. It's about being there for yourself emotionally, spiritually, and applauding yourself because you deserve it. You should take time to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I did this. I am perfect, no matter what anyone says, because that is the utter truth. And most people have forgotten the value of loving themselves and putting themselves first. Ladies and gentlemen, it is okay to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. But most people have forgotten that. Most people have forgotten the value of loving yourself and being there for yourself. Moving on, I would like to say that hardships are there and judgments are there. But you should remember where you came from. Olivia didn't remember that. That's why it was so easy for her to get lost. But Aristotle once said, it is in our darkest times when we focus to see the light. And she focused, and she was able to see the light. She was able to see that she mattered, and that her opinion was the one that mattered the most out of everyone else's opinion. So without saying any more, all I would tell you is, love yourself unconditionally, all the way. Because in the end, the truth is, you matter too. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ruth. Okay, so let's talk about the improvement, because I only have one thing to say when it comes to your improvement, because I think you did a spectacular job. I will talk about that very, very soon. But I feel in the beginning, you had minor stuttering. I feel probably, I don't think it's anxiety probably is just, warming up to your speech. So you did have minor stuttering in the beginning, but I did not mind it at all because it did not come or interrupt with the message that you were trying to deliver. Okay, so that's where the negative end, because I feel your speech was very good, Ruth. Number one, your attention getter. It was very interesting and it was very welcoming and at the same time incredibly relatable, and you sounded like you are conversing to your closest friend. And I know that's very difficult to do. So I was drawn in from the beginning itself. You started off very strong despite the minor stuttering in the beginning. And from there, okay, you had constant eye contact. Your tone is also varied. You know when to change the tone to become a bit more emotional, to become a bit more uplifting. So I like that. But the most important value or characteristic of your delivery that I really enjoyed was it sounds incredibly genuine. And you really did sound like you are writing this. And it is as if it was meant to be given to every specific person in this class. So I think you did a very good job. And moving on to your pathos, I feel your pathos is perfect, and I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm going to give full marks for this part because I think you did a very good job. It was very expressive, descriptive language. Your connection, in my opinion, is spectacular. It's as if you crafted this properly to have everyone in mind. And your ethos and logos were equally as strong because you provided your friend's experience, you provided a little bit of factual information as well. So overall, I feel this is a very good speech. It was very incredibly well delivered. The message was clear and it was repeated effectively throughout the speech. And it's one of those speeches that I feel if I were to take this and show to people outside of the class, they would not believe that this is a part of a classroom activity. I think you did extremely, extremely well. So good job, Ruth. I think you did very, very good for today. Okay, a very lovely and beautiful speech and very beautiful delivery as well. Okay, that was really, really good. Okay. All right, good job, Ruth. Okay, now, okay, I know it's 12 p.m., but for today, we are going to extend a little bit on the timing of the class because we want to finish every presentation for today. So for attendance, I'll give manually later because I think the attendance is probably already closed now. Okay, so let's try to finish everything in the next 30 or 40 minutes or so. Okay, now let's move on to the next speaker, Winky.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Can
you.
you see me?
Yes, everything is clear.
Okay, I will start now.
Okay, so let's begin.
Okay. A very good morning to our lecturer, Mr. Muhammad Mawar, and my classmate. I'm great to be here. My name is Kong Wenki. I'm going to deliver a speech. Please pay attention at me. I would like to ask everyone a question. Please answer the checkbox with yes or no. Do you pay attention to two important aspects of our beauty, which are health and fitness? Take a good look around you. You will find many people, young and old, who are unhealthy. The saying "health is wealth" is true to the meaning. True, we all born healthy. We handle after our own health. Keeping healthy means having a well-balanced meal and exercise regularly. Eating good habits and regular work must be the part of our routine. When I was 12 years old, I always diet to lose weight. Every time I skipped my lunch, I succeeded over time, but I was weak. I couldn't pay attention to the class. One day after school, I walked to the school gate as usual with my friend. All of a sudden, I ran in front of my friend Jessie. She screamed for the help of an adult who is a stone throw away from us. The man sent me to the clinic with Jessie. After seeing the doctor, she found out I diet to keep weight. She was mad at me and said it was wrong. She showed me the right way, which is a pyramid of the food guide, and told me to follow it as a healthy guide. To know what is a balanced meal is, we can see the food guide pyramid, which is an overview of how to eat and what to eat each time based on the dietary guideline. It is not a rigid prescription, but that is right for you. You should eat more food having 7 classes of nutrients, such as carbohydrate, fiber, mineral, vitamin, and da da da. And we should avoid fatty food like French fries and ice cream. Follow the pyramid, you will get you will get the nutrients you need and a correct number of calories to keep your weight. It helps you prevent many medical problems such as obesity and diabetes. It also helps you to physically reach your full potential. Please do not overeating when you are in down mood. It is only going to make a problem worse. Ladies and gentlemen, do not smoke. Please away from smoking. Smoking will cause cancer such as lung cancer. Sometimes it may lead to death. Please stop taking drugs and drinking alcohol too. By taking drugs, it takes away your mind control. Many people die in a car accident with the influence of alcohol, posing an evidence of the drinking and driving. Data show the percentage of death increases in the year of 2010 to 2016, but it started to decrease for the following year, which is 2017. For the 8 years period, over 1,197 people lost their life in a drunk driving crash. So that we must stop drinking alcohol while driving to avoid the crash. Moreover, exercise is physically working for the human body to improve how to work. It is also important for weight loss. Exercise can be divided by two, which is either active or passive exercise. Physical fitness is the body's ability to carry out work and protect itself against the diseases and infections. Active, active exercise involves physical efforts such as swimming and jogging. Exercise that involves a machine or another person's action is called a passive exercise. Through working or exercising, muscle in our body develop strength. Coordinate in nerve muscle have also improved. More blood and oxygen are sent to our brain as exercise increase to the heart rate. Besides well-balanced food and exercise, sleeping is also a significant part of our health. Sleeping problem at this age usually involve a late phase of teenagers. Teenagers usually sleep late on weekend to do some exercise like playing games, Mobile Legends, and watching Netflix movie. This is this will transfer to the school week and which is Monday, start from Monday, and it will cause a trouble falling asleep at the right time on the school night. It is now well known that being sleep depressed can lead to attentional problem that couldn't pay attention in the lecture class, so that it is important that teenagers sleep at least 8 hours. Finally, we want to drink 8 glasses of water every day. It helps to prevent constipation and dehydration too. Drinking water makes our skin healthy and beautiful. Lack of drinking water does not dissolve nutrients and minerals to remove the waste, so that lead to kidney problem. Nothing is important that our life. Health is a fountain of happiness. It is our responsibility to keep our oneself healthy and fit. In doing so, we will be healthier and better. Thank you. Um,
Okay, thank you, Winky. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the improvements. Okay, I think your delivery, there's a few good things, but throughout your speech, you were a little bit fast. Winky, were you nervous?
yes, I'm nervous.
Okay, I did see that you were nervous a little bit from your facial expression as well, but not too obvious. It was just noticeable once or twice. Okay, but slow down a little bit and have more pauses, because for your topic, it's very important because there were a lot of difficult words for the audience to understand. So when you're a bit fast, then they might not be able to understand what those words were because they did not have your script with them. So a little bit slower. And I feel if we have just a little bit more intonation, you were expressive today. It was good, but we have to vary the tone a little bit so that we can differentiate from different story, and also you're encouraging them not to smoke. So that part, I feel if we vary a little bit, it would be a bit more effective. Okay, but your attention getter, I thought it was decent. The question was good. And it was great that you asked them to just answer by yes or no. It's a simple thing. Probably we could have gone through a little bit on what their answers are. And your voice projection, I think, was very clear. Your body language was also present, but not too much. So that's great. And your appeals, I think your logos and ethos, they are there and they are quite strong because you provided a lot of statistics, especially your logos. You had a lot of statistics provided, and your ethos is also very good because you did sound knowledgeable on the topic, and you did sound credible as well. Pathos, I feel you could improve a little bit more because you were expressive and have a lot of energy earlier. But if we were to vary a little bit on your tone, then it would have been a bit more effective. So overall, I think you did a good job today, but I want you to vary on your tone a little bit and your anxiety. If you're nervous, just don't show it in your face, and just compose yourself because that's also noticeable at few places. But overall, I think today you did a good job. Okay, great speech. Your message was very well delivered. Okay, it's easy to understand, but slow down so that we can improve the comprehension a little bit for some of your friends. Okay, thank you, Winky. So let's see those improvements in your group presentation, all right?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Winky. All right, okay, the rest of you, if you have something that you want to do, or if it's in the morning for you, you may leave first. For those who want to stay, please stay. I prefer if we still have a few audience here to give your friends some kind of support. But for those who want to leave, you can leave first. And if you want to go to sleep or whatever, you may go and leave first. But please make sure we have a few audience in the class to give support for your friends. Okay, let's proceed to the next presenter. Okay, the next presenter, let's have Kai Feng.
Sir, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay, so let's begin, Kai Feng.
I will assume that everyone here had watched a movie named Jurassic World, which talked about a transgenic dinosaur escape and causing disaster on the island. But my favorite part of this movie is how the scientists bring back the dinosaur using the cloning technology. I believe that this is also what the scientists nowadays hoping to achieve. There are a lot of books can be found easily online or in a bookstore. And for people that like animals, there are types of books that suits you. The Animal Encyclopedia. It gives information about the animals that we can see daily and animals we don't usually see so common or even some that have already extinct. To be honest, I feel sad that we can only have a look of the extinct animal on the book or on the internet. A very good morning to Mr. Marva and my fellow friends. The speech that I'm giving is, should we bring extinct species back from the dead? So, should we bring the extinct animal back to the world where they once exist? Is there any harm or is there any benefits that we might possibly have? You can do a little bit thinking to look for an answer, but you can keep the answer to yourself. Now, I will be giving some of my own thoughts and some of the information that I've read online. Why should we bring back the extinct animal? In my own opinion, I think that it is good to have those extinct animal back on the world because it can not only restore the ecosystem, but also giving us a chance to have a better look and understanding of the species. According to the information from a website that I've read, it stated that by bringing back the extinct animal, it can offer some important knowledge. To further explain to that, all the looks of the extinct animal we are seeing it now is just some scientist prediction from the limited information. But if they are able to clone the extinct animal back, they can have an access to insight which they never had before. By that, I think that is a benefit for a lot of children nowadays, as they can have a more accurate information of the animals compared to our generation, which we can only have a predicted information. Let me tell you about another post I've read online on a magazine by National Geographic, and the parts that interest me the most. A type of mountain goats known as brucador or Pyrenean ibex. The Pyrenean ibex weight can reach up to almost 100 kilograms, and they have a long and gently curved horn. They used to live in the range of the mountain that divides Spain and France. The Pyrenean ibex are being hunted by the hunters and causes the population of it to decrease over several centuries. In the year of 1989, Spanish scientists has done a survey and found out that there are only a dozen left. 10 years later, they caught the last existence of the Pyrenean ibex and put on a radio collar around her neck so that they can keep track of its movement. 9 months later, the radio collar gave out a long and steady beep. By that, the last Pyrenean ibex is dead, which means that this species is officially extinct. On the date of 30th of July 2003, a team of Spanish and French scientists trying to bring back some extinct animal. The animal that they are trying to revive is the animal that I just said, Pyrenean ibex. They injected nuclei from the last existent ibex cell into a goat egg, which has already emptied their original DNA. After 75 implantation, only 7 goats are able to become pregnant, but of the 7, only one of the goats are able to give birth to the clone of the last ibex. Unfortunately, the clone ibex is only managing to survive for about 10 minutes. Although the clone ibex wasn't able to survive longer time, but the success of its existence for just only 10 minutes, it means that the scientist has made a great improvement on cloning technology. This also means that they are getting closer to successfully bring back the extinct animal which can live a longer life. You might think, why am I so excited if the scientists can bring back the extinct animal? I read an article from the National Museum of Natural History. There is a parts that write about the estimate number of the extinction rate. There are about 8 million species on Earth, but at least 15,000 are threatened with extinction. It's hard to tell the accurate extinction rate because there are a lot of those endangered animals isn't being studied yet. But a sure thing that the scientists can tell everyone is that the extinction rate today is 100 or 1,000 higher than the natural baseline rate. After getting to know this information, the benefit of bringing back the extinct animal is very obvious, because it reduces the chance for us to be able to have a look of the animal in real life and not a picture in the book. To conclude up, I think that by bringing back the extinct animal will benefit humans, and most importantly, it is that they can help to restore the damage that human did to the ecosystem. That's all for me, and I hope everyone of you enjoy my speech today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kai Feng. Okay, let's talk about the improvements first. Okay, first of all, you need to have more eye contact. I'm not sure like where your camera is. Probably it's lower, maybe like around your keyboard or somewhere else. But I could see that you are referring to the screen almost constantly. You did make eye contact like 2 or 3 times, but it's not enough. So increase that because we want to make more connection with the audience as well when you are presenting. And when it comes to your delivery, your intonation is present, but probably if we can improve that a little bit. Like for example, earlier when you mentioned reviving all of these extinct animals could probably be good for kids. I like that statement, but the tone probably could vary a little bit because this discussion is actually very exciting and very interesting, the topic, but we have to make sure the tone matches the interest of the topic as well. And one other thing that I noticed throughout your speech, you kept on saying, I read from, I read from. Okay, instead of saying that, use according to, because obviously we know if it's taken from somewhere, then obviously you have read the article or the study. So change from I read from National Geographic magazine to according to National Geographic magazine, blah, blah, blah. Then you explain. Then I feel it would be a bit more formal in your delivery. Okay, but what I like about your delivery was the attention getter was quite decent. It was interesting because I like this topic. It's, in my opinion, it's one of those topics that's creative, a little bit different, and allows to give like good or new information. And throughout your speech, I feel your pathos could be stronger, but your ethos and logos were very strong. You provided great arguments and you provided with facts and relevant explanation because reviving extinct animals, even though it sounds like not something that might be useful, but you did mention this, it has a lot of benefits on the society and it has a lot of benefits on research and science as well. So I like that discussion. So basically, I like that it's very educating, in my opinion. So overall, the topic is very interesting. I like the topic, but let's improve a little bit more on your intonation, your tone, and also your connection with the audience because that was missing a little bit throughout your speech. Okay, thank you, Kaifeng.
Thank you, Mr. Mawa.
Okay, thank you, Kaifeng. All right, let's move on to the next speaker.
Excuse me, sir.
Mm,
Sir, we can leave the meeting.
yes, I wrote in the meeting chat.
Sir, I'm in the meeting chair, but I didn't listen due to internet connection issue.
Okay, all right, yes, go ahead. All right, Vincent, can you give me 1 minute? I need to run to the restroom very quickly, all right? I've been sitting for 2 hours. Okay, give me 1 minute.
No problem, sir.
All right. Okay, Vincent, sorry about that. Okay, so are you ready?
Is my voice clear?
Yes.
Okay, so I will start.
Okay, let's begin, Vincent.
Oh, I'm so tired. I want to give up already. Why do I keep trying? The same negative thoughts keep haunting me at the evening of every weekend. The whole day of hard work piles up and sticking toward me. However, the moment I step into this place, a magical place, all the fatigue instantly vanishes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you have heard of this place. This place is called home. A place that can relax our mind, let us take a break, let us feel so warm, so comfortable. But there's something that bothers me. What exactly is this place to call home? Is it the location or the building? No, it's not. A place to call home is not about the building or the location or the place, but it's about the people inside it. Yes, I'm talking about family. All right, so let's just put the Vin Diesel meme aside, okay? We're not going there for today. So I want everybody here to take a short moment to recall back when was the last time you sat down and talked to your family, to your parents, without looking at your phone. Just a moment. Have you recalled? It's fine, keep it to yourself. It shouldn't be that long ago since we meet every day, right? Especially during this pandemic where we can't go anywhere but to stay at home. However, the truth is often opposite. Nowadays, people spend a very little amount of time connecting with their family. Especially in this age of fast internet, where you can just contact with everyone so easily, people often overlook the importance of a family gathering, a family meal. More often than not, people will just finish their meal while looking at their phone, then immediately go back to the room and continue their Netflix session, ignoring the fact that there's some topic that can only be discussed in this gathering, but not through short phone calls. It might be some little topic about your day, your study, or work. It might not seem like much. However, this time is exactly the times where you need to let out your complaints, your worries, anxiety, stress, and most importantly, you can listen to theirs as well. There's no need to give any advice. Just having someone close to talk to and rely on can take off so much weight that's on our shoulder. Just as they will be there for you when you need them, be there for them when they need it as well. That is family. That is home. Time again, I saw many people crying their regrets when losing their family members, about how they could have done better, about how they can spend more time with them. I'm no exception. I would like to take some of your time and listen to a story of mine. When I'm younger, still a kid, ignorant, and I believe that people that are dear to me will stay with me forever. The thought of them leaving me forever never even crossed my mind. But one day, my grandmother accidentally fell down and got admitted into the hospital. It's not the first time. She just come back home in no time like every single other time, right? No. However, she did not come back, not this time. Times never wait for us. Once they are gone, that's it. You may think there's still a lot of time left, and we can always wait until we have achieved our goal. But time never waits for us. Things happen unexpectedly. They might leave us before we even know it. So spare some time in your busy week. Sit down, have a meal with them, talk with your family, and just spend some time with them. It works towards your favor as well. So why not? More importantly, don't leave any regret on this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to once again remind you the importance of spending time with your family members, to be with them and share their burden, as well as sharing your own with them, to treasure every single meeting and try to get the most out of it. Do not take it as granted. Remember, family isn't something you need, but it's something you should happy to have. Spend more time with them
and build this place that you can truly relax in, a place to call home. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vincent. It's 4 minutes, 50 seconds, so I'll count that as 5 minutes. No problem. Okay, let's talk about the improvements. Okay, I like a lot of things that you mentioned or provided earlier, but let's start with the attention getter. I like the short skit. I like that. Okay, but be careful because the sentence that you use, it was a bit informal, kind of Manglish a little bit in the wording. We want to make sure the audience understand. So you can have the skit, but make sure the wording and the sentence is still formal and it's still easy for your audience to understand. But I like it. We just need to reword because we have a mix of students in this class. Okay, and two other things. Your intonation, I think it was very great, very expressive. But I want you to listen to your recording again later. There were moments where your tone it was a bit awkward in a sense that sometimes it's too high, sometimes it's too low, and it does not match the feelings that you're trying to convey. Okay, I like that you attempted to have that, but there were still a couple of moments. So we need to push just a little bit more. It's almost there. You just need to be able to listen to that, recognize, and improve from there. Okay, and one more thing, I wish logos were more discussed because I think if we include a bit more factual information, then it will be great. Okay, but moving on from there, oh, one more thing, I forgot this one. This one is an important one. Gesture. When you point with one hand to the camera, be careful because, yeah, in the beginning you did that. That can be seen as offensive. I know you did not mean it, but you know how your audience are. It's very easy to misinterpret things and you don't know how people will take it. So just if you want to gesture to all of them, yeah, all of your hands, 4 fingers, that's fine, to encourage and to welcome them. The one pointing, it's probably a bit, considered a bit rude. I know you didn't mean it, but be careful on that. Okay, moving on from there, I like your speech. I think you had great intonation. You were very expressive. Once in a while, I think it did sound awkward, but I'm going to still congratulate you for the attempt, and I'm still going to consider that into the evaluation because you did attempt having a great expression and also intonation. We just need to practice a little bit more. It's almost there. Okay, in terms of your appeals, your pathos was very strong. Okay, I feel your discussion was very descriptive. There was a lot of story that you provided and you managed to hit me emotionally, I feel. So that's very great because topics like this, I do agree that we need a lot of emotions because family is a very precious thing. And the easiest way is to hit them with their feelings. So I think that part you did very, very well. And then your ethos is equally strong, I feel. It does sound like you are passionate about the topic and you care about the audience. And connection is there between you and the audience. Logos could be a bit stronger because I feel the logos is probably your weakest moments earlier. If we were to include more factual information, then it will be better. But overall, I like your delivery today. You attempted a lot of good things here. Your gesture is good. Just be careful a little bit. Intonation is great. Make sure you ensure that it's not too much or too little at different places. So overall, I think you did a very good job, Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mama.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, good job, Vincent. Okay, now let's move on to Wei Hun.
Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's begin, Wei Hun.
Good afternoon to our respected lecturer, Mr. Mawa, and my fellow classmates. Today, I'm going to talk about Media responsible for the moral degradation of teenagers. What is the first thing that you think of when you look at the word teenagers? Perhaps some of the characteristics, for example, vulgar, abusive, and even rude. And why is that? This is primarily due to the influence that teenagers cause by media. Media can be categorized in many different forms, and some of the forms that teenagers gravitate towards, including movies, video games, and social media that contain negative influence. From all these types of media, teenagers have eventually lost all the good moral values that they have learned in school or have been taught by their parents. As a result of negative influence from all these forms of media, hence, I will be talking about the problems of media degrades teenagers' morality along with the solutions of doing something worthwhile instead of causing underlying issues. Technology and the increasing fast trends in globalization have turned the society upside down. The youth are the fast hit in these changing trends. In today's modern world, the decline of morality among our teenagers is very evident. There are three main causes were pointed out from studies: mass media, peer pressure, and poor family involvement. First, let me define what is moral degradation. Moral degradation or demoralization is the process of society's progressive loss of or weakening of the moral and ethical structures that have traditionally prevailed. Moral degradation lowers standards of moral behavior and creates new but lower criteria for ethics and justice. Putting it simply, people are no longer required to act more morally or ethically. Society no longer expects its members to preserve their commitment to the very basic moral norms. According to a survey, a number of parents in the United Kingdom believe that social media is harmful to their children's moral development. Nearly two-thirds of those polled said they strongly agreed that social media affects moral development in youngsters between the ages of 11 and 17. The survey was conducted as part of its plan by Birmingham University's Jubilee Center for Character and Virtues. Some of the findings surprised researchers Blair Morgan, and she said, not least of this is the low level of agreement that social media can enhance or support a young person's character or moral development. Whilst parents acknowledge that positive character strengths, including moral virtues such as love, courage, and kindness, are promoted through social networking sites, they were reluctant to agree that these sites could have a positive impact on their child's character. According to BBC Newsround data from 2016, children as young as 10 have social media profiles, even though they are under the legal age of 13. Parents' concerns about the trend have been highlighted in the poll. Only 15% of those polled believed that social media sites like Facebook had a beneficial impact on a young person's character. 40% expressed concern or great concern about social media's potential harm to youngsters. The poll also asked parents about their own use of social media and which undesirable characteristics or vices they noticed at least once a month online. Most people stated seeing animosity and fury. 51% reported seeing arrogance, 43% cited ignorance, 40% mentioned poor judgment, 36% found hatred, 30% reported vanity. They were also asked to name character strengths they believe were lacking on social media. 24% of respondents stated forgiveness and self-control were lacking. 21% said honesty was too little. 20% said fairness, and 18% indicated humility. However, Over 3/4 said that they saw content containing a positive message at least once a day. When asked what character strengths they have seen on social media at once a month, respondents answered humor 52%, appreciation of beauty 51%, creativity 44%, love 59%, and courage 39%. Ms. Morgan said, the Jubilee Center Parents and Media Project seeks to explore the relationship between social media virtues in more depth and hopefully offer a more constructive outlook on how social media might impact on a person's character and moral values. Social media is not going away. So, by learning more about this relationship, we should be able to maximize the benefits of social media use and avoid the pitfalls. That's mine today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wei Hun. Okay, first of all, were you is your throat dry or were you sick? Were you coughing? Because like
my throat was dry.
Okay, yeah, because I noticed that. So make sure you drink a lot of water before you present, because I feel it got in the way a little bit towards the end when you were speaking. So hydrate yourself so that your delivery becomes a bit more clearer and you were also not affected by that. Okay, but Wei Hun, we have a lot of things to work on for your speech, because earlier you were a bit monotonous. It was very flat, almost no tone at all when listening to your speech, and you tend to list what you have written down on your script. You were basically reading. There's no connection with the audience yet for today. So you need to improve that in the group presentation. And your voice projection. Okay, you have a very soft voice, and that's fine. That's okay, but I want you to increase a little bit on your voice projections, a little bit louder. We are not changing how your voice sounds, but we are just increasing the volume of your voice, because you speak very softly, which is a good thing. But when it comes to public speaking, we want to give information, then it might not be able to be translated well to your audience. And earlier, out of the 3 appeals, the only strong ones I feel was your logos, because you had a lot of factual information, and that's great. But it's still not very good because you were reading and you were listing. Your ethos and pathos was quite poor, I feel. I couldn't sense confidence. Credibility is not really there, even though your discussion was very good. And tone and intonation needs a lot of work because you were reading, I feel, earlier. So for your group presentation, I want you to read a lot less and connect with the audience, because you did have eye contact earlier, but we did not have the tone, we did not have the intonation, we did not have the connection with the audience, despite you making eye contact quite a lot earlier. So let's improve on this so that your delivery sounds a little bit more exciting to listen to. All right, so we have a few things to work on.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Wei Hun. Okay, now let's move on to the last speaker, I think. Wait, let me double check. Yeah, let's move on to the last speaker. Saili. Saili, your okay. Yes. Wait, can you introduce yourself first? Your voice is a bit unclear.
Can you hear me?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Wait. I'll start my. Wait.
Okay, begin when you are ready. All right, so I'll turn off my webcam first. Begin once you have come down and when you are ready.
Okay. Start now. If the formula density equals to the ratio of mass per unit volume of a material substance, then likewise, volume relates the ratio of density to mass. Those are the words of Mr. Tego. But instead of doing, I raised my hand up. And I said, Mr. Tego, I think you made a mistake on the formula, sir. It ought to be that volume relates to the ratio of mass to density, not the other way around when you change the subject of the formula. Then he said, boy, Tego does not make mistakes. What? Repeat? Mr. Tego, I think you made a mistake, sir. Boy, what did I just say? Come on, come here. Tego does not make mistakes. Repeat what I just said. Mr. Tego, sir, I think you made a mistake. Boy, what did I just say? And what happens next? I get flogged. But Tego does not make mistakes. Repeat what I just said. Okay, hold on. I think there's an issue. Mr. Mao?
No. Tina was lagging. You did not have any issue.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So, should I start over or should I continue?
You may continue, Siley.
Okay. What did I just say? Tego does not make mistakes. Repeat what I just said. After getting flogged. And with a quivering lip, I said, Mr. Tego does not make mistakes. Come again? Tego does not make mistakes. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get me wrong. I was standing firm in front of everybody else, but in front of Mr. Tego, my lip was quivering because I was so frightened, and I did feel that beating. So, greetings to you, Mr. Muhammad Mawar, my esteemed lecturer, and to the rest of you folks. My name is Siley Manger, and I'm here to avouch to you as to why students shouldn't be afraid to step up and challenge the lecturers if they disagree with something. Now, the short memoir that you just witnessed earlier is a throwback of an argument and pandemonium that occurred between my high school teacher, Mr. Tego, and I. Now, I have a question for you. If you were in my particular situation at that point in time, what would you have done? A, would you have sat down and concurred with the wrong teaching? Or B, would you have stood up and challenged Mr. Tego, despite the fear he brought upon students since he wasn't as subtle as any other teacher? You can look at the question in the meeting chat and then just give your responses. B, A. My God. Well, okay. I'm saying that most of you are also brave like me, and other people are a little bit frightened. So I appreciate your answers. Thank you, everyone. So now, everyone, you must understand something. You will undoubtedly succeed and understand modules and concepts better if your teachers, professors, lecturers are very formidable in the sense of their teaching and the bond that they share with you. Therefore, when I say disagree, this may range from a variety of contrivances to another. It may be that you are contradicting with the errors professors may make, the speed at which they may lecture to you or educate us, or just a misconception of concepts. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do understand that facing professors head on is quite frightening, especially if you're going up against somebody like Mr. Tego, because, oh my God. However the case, it does not help you in any particular way. If you're going to cocoon yourself in obscurity and agree with whatever is being said to you, regardless of whether it is correct or if it's wrong. Therefore, just be candid enough to stand up and speak your mind out to them. Besides, it is for this reason that when you speak out your mind, it aids everybody, especially yourself, in interpreting concepts better, regardless of how intimidating professors, teachers, or lecturers may be. Moreover, ladies and gentlemen, I get that you're trying to save yourself off the debt of humiliation, punishment, and having your folks back home rung up just because you may end up in a dispute. That's admirable. However the case, when you stand up You show your lecturers that you are paying your utmost attention and you earn their utmost respect too, because you're proving them wrong and that is what they want to get. After all, some lecturers are full of themselves, and that's just true. In fact, let me even tell you something. Between you and I, Mr. Tago, yeah, he approached me. You know what he did? He gave me about $10. He gave me a pat on the back and just a little scratch on the head as a way of him apologizing to me after the session when he realized that the calculations that he made did not even add up, but still didn't decide to acknowledge me earlier after hearing me the situation himself. So, but don't tell him I told you that. Just save him the embarrassment. You already know such people. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear and concise when asking and speak with confidence if you truly disagree with your lecturers. You know what? I feel like I've spoken way too much right now. At this particular point in time, I would gladly like to request Mr. Mauer if you would do me the honors of turning on his webcam. Hello, Mr. Mauer. How are you?
Hi,
Wonderful.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Thank you. So, Mr. Mauer, ladies and gentlemen, let's take Mr. Mauer here for example. So, Mr. Mauer, I have an issue with the rate of distance traveled per interval of the way you conduct your lecture.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just pause there. Obviously, Mr. Mauer does understand that concept because he went to school and he did physics. But in natural sense, all I'm just trying to say is that I have a problem with the speed at which Mr. Mauer educates us. So in his head, he does have the understanding, but in literal sense, I just sound like I am the pig Porky from Looney Tunes, stuttering all over the place, going abu and he will definitely intimidate me. So please, ladies and gentlemen, be precise and clear in asking questions. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Mao. You can turn off your webcam now. Okay. So, however, ladies and gentlemen, do not get me wrong. I am not asking you to go all fiery and start a riot or protest like me with your lectures if you disagree with them. Because personally, for me, it is that adversity is part of the process. And so if I have to get chased or beaten up to substantiate my point of view, then that's a chance I'm willing to take. But if you end up in a disagreement over a topic, try to be empathetic and think of it from their point of view. Because sometimes it may be that the hypothesis is right when you think of it as a professor rather than as a student. So lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you that it is a no-brainer that students and professors have dissented since schooling and education came into existence. Thus, this concept is not something new. However, the way of handling it should certainly be. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, let us stand up today and confront our professors and question them in case you have an issue with them. No hard feelings to you, by the way, Mr. Mao. Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. I rest my case.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Saili. Okay. Let's talk about the improvements first. Okay. First of all, the attention getter. Okay. I feel it was interesting, but it was a bit long, I feel. And if it was a bit shorter, it could have been a little bit more effective. And one thing that happened earlier was the delivery style was a little bit more like a I would say a stand-up-ish, because there were a couple of parts where when you were delivering, I thought it was fun. It was engaging, it's interesting, but there were a few parts that probably we could still polish a little bit because in the beginning, like, because I was referring to your script because, okay, it's there, but it's not confusing for me, but I assume it can be confusing to some of the other audience because the story probably go on a little bit long. And then I like that you repeated again, Mr. Tago, I think his name, throughout the speech, which was good because the consistency is there. But every time you brought him up again, it is a little bit unpolished in a sense that it sounds a bit awkward, probably due to the delivery online. I don't think it's so much on your credibility as a speaker. Maybe if we were to have this like face to face, it would have been a bit more effective, I feel. And one other thing was your logos. I wish your logos was just a little bit stronger, the factual information that you were providing, so that we can have some kind of statistics or data as well. Okay, but what I like about your speech was it was fun, it was interesting, you were charismatic, you were personable, and that's great as a speaker. But just be careful because it borderlines a little bit from formal speech with a less formal speech. So that one we have to find the right balance first. Okay, earlier I feel it was heading towards more entertainment rather than formal purposes, but it was still effective in delivering the message. So basically, we just need to polish a little bit on the delivery, especially the part every single time you bring up Mr. Tegu again. That part was slightly unpolished, I feel. And the last thing, I feel your ethos and pathos, they were good because you provided your own personal experience. I like that. You were also very personable, very expressive, but at times you would laugh at yourself because of your story. I know it's supposed to be fun, but it takes the audience out a little bit when you react to what you have said. So even though it's fun, we are encouraging the audience to react. But when you as a speaker react, it sounds just a little bit odd in the moment. And I feel it's one of those speeches that probably would have worked slightly better if it's face to face. So that's not on you because you cannot control that element. But if you want to do it like this for your group presentation, just make sure it's a bit more polished, I feel, because there were a few parts where you were reacting to the story and you were like giggling here and there as well. It kind of take the audience out of your speech a little bit, and it can be confusing. Okay, but for me, obviously, it was not confusing because you provided the disclaimer right away. This is what I'm going to do. And you told me that you wanted to involve me in the discussion. So that's great. So at least I know going in, I know what you were going to do. But for the audience, probably for them, it's a little bit less effective in a sense that once in a while the polish could have been better, I feel. But overall, I still think it's a nice speech. It's fun, it's interesting, and it's funny as well. But just remember, do not laugh or giggle throughout your speech. I do know it's a funny thing, but when you giggle, it takes you out of the speech, and the audience might feel a bit awkward, I feel. So be careful on that part as well. But overall, I like what you did. It's different approach, and it's a shame that we had to do this online because I feel if it was face to face, it could have been a lot better. But I think you did it very well, and I think we've discussed on the content. You also provided a non-biased perspective. There were a lot of great content there, and then at the end, you did provide disclaimer saying that whatever message you provided was not to start a riot or whatever. It's just to encourage them to speak up a little bit more, and that's a good message. And I feel the message was well delivered because without that disclaimer, it could have been misunderstood. But I like that you had that disclaimer, so your message was clear. The objective was achieved, I feel. Just need a lot of polish. Okay, good work, Sayali. So it's a different approach, but I like it. Okay, so that's the end of the speech. I think we've covered everyone, and I don't think we missed out on anyone from the presentation. So thank you everyone for your presentations. Good work. with all of your speeches. You've done very, very well. And sorry for taking an additional 1 hour of your time for today. So I'll dismiss all of you here first, and I will give you attendance manually later. But congratulations, everyone, for finishing your speech. You all did very, very good. Next week, we are just going to do a little bit of activity on group symposium so that we can take whatever feedback that you have gotten to improve a little bit more in your group symposium. Okay, thank you, everyone, for the presentation, and thank you for staying back as well. I'll provide your attendance manually after this. All right, so you may be dismissed here for today. Okay, thank you for staying an additional 1 hour with the rest of your friends. Okay, enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. Okay, enjoy your weekend, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, goodbye.